You know the drill, right? You feel absolutely terrible, you drag yourself to the doctor, and you walk out with that little piece of paper, a prescription for an antibiotic. And it feels like, okay, problem solved. But what if I told you that behind that simple prescription is a whole web of complex, high-stakes decisions? Decisions that don't just affect you, but, well, all of us. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that prescription pad and see what's really going on.
So, let's just start with the big one, the question that hangs over every single one of these decisions. What happens if these miracle drugs just stop working? And listen, this isn't some sci-fi movie plot, it's the very real threat of antibiotic resistance. And it's exactly why your doctor's choice is so much more complicated than it looks.
All right, so the whole process kicks off with some serious detective work. Seriously, before even thinking about a prescription, a doctor has to become an investigator, piecing together clues to figure out exactly what's going on. This isn't just about matching a pill to your sniffles, it's about building a case against the intruder. And that detective work really boils down to these three key things. First, where's the scene of the crime? Pinpointing the site of the infection, is it in your lungs, your skin? Next, they need to define the host. And, the host is you. Your age, how strong your immune system is, your overall health, these are all critical clues. And finally, the big one, identifying the actual pathogen, the specific microbial bad guy that's causing all this trouble.
And here's the absolute golden rule of this whole investigation. You got to get your evidence before you do anything else. That means doctors will always try to get samples like blood cultures or swabs before they give you a single dose of antibiotics. Why? Well, think about it. If you start the drugs too early, they can start knocking out the microbes, which sounds good, but it basically washes away the evidence. It makes it almost impossible for the lab to figure out who the real culprit is.
Okay, but what if the situation is dire? What if someone comes in with a life-threatening infection like sepsis or meningitis? You can't just sit around and wait for lab results that might take days. The clock is absolutely ticking. And this is where the strategy has to shift, big time, from careful investigation to an all-out emergency response. That emergency response has a name. It's called empiric therapy. And honestly, the best way to think of it is like a shotgun approach. You don't have a clear target yet, but the situation is urgent. So the doctor uses a powerful, broad-spectrum antibiotic that's designed to wipe out a whole range of the most likely bacterial suspects. It's all about moving fast when you absolutely cannot afford to miss. And the reason that shotgun is so necessary is because of this critical waiting period right here. It can take anywhere from 24 to 72 hours, that's 1 to 3 days, for the lab to grow a culture and identify the specific germ. And during that time, a doctor isn't just waiting around. They're making a calculated, educated, and potentially life-saving guess. And then the phone rings. It's the lab. They've got a positive ID on the bad guy. This is the moment everything pivots. The wide net can finally be pulled back, and the treatment can shift from a broad attack to a precision strike. So you can really see the difference between these two phases here. You move from that empiric shotgun, which is broad, fast, and covers all the possibilities, over to definitive therapy. And this is the sniper rifle. Now you can switch to a narrow-spectrum antibiotic that is designed to kill that one specific pathogen. And that's not just more effective. It also means fewer side effects and less damage to the good bacteria in your body. So how do they pick the right sniper rifle? Well, the key piece of intel they get from the lab is this number called the MIC, or minimum inhibitory concentration. What that basically tells the doctor is the lowest possible dose of a specific antibiotic that's needed to stop that bug in its tracks. It's the crucial piece of data that turns an educated guess into a guaranteed hit. Okay, so we've got the right bug, we've picked the right drug based on the MIC. We're done, right? Case closed? Nope, not even close. Because now we get to the next layer of complexity, you, the patient. Because a one-size-fits-all approach just doesn't work. I mean, just look at all these things a doctor has to consider. Your age makes a huge difference. A dose that's fine for a 30-year-old to be way too much for an 80-year-old whose kidneys aren't working as well. Allergies, of course. But what about your genetics? Some people have tiny variations that can lead to major side effects from certain drugs. And have you taken antibiotics recently? That tells the doctor that whatever bug you have now might already be resistant to some common treatments. Every single one of these factors can completely change the game plan. And it gets even more granular than that. It's not just what drug to use, it's how you use it. See, some drugs, like penicillin, are time-dependent. For them, the goal is just to keep the drug level in your body consistently above that MIC line for as long as possible. That's why you might take them 3 or 4 times a day. But other drugs are concentration-dependent. They work by hitting the bacteria with one single massive dose to achieve a high peak. So your dosing schedule isn't random at all. It's designed based on the precise killing mechanism of that specific drug.
Okay, so now let's zoom out from the individual patient to the big picture. Because every single one of these prescription decisions has a ripple effect that touches all of us. This is where we get into the idea of antimicrobial stewardship, this concept that we all share a responsibility to use these amazing, precious medicines wisely.
And this quote right here, it just nails it. This gets to the very heart of the problem. The single biggest reason we have growing antibiotic resistance isn't some random, unlucky mutation in a lab. It's us. It's how we use and very often misuse these drugs every single day.
And here are some of the most common ways it happens. The big one, of course, is using antibiotics for something like the common cold, which is caused by a virus and won't be touched by an antibiotic. Or maybe it's sticking with that shotgun approach even after the lab has given you the sniper rifle. Or even treating a lab result that shows bacteria in a patient who has 0 symptoms. Every single one of these actions pours a little more fuel on the fire of resistance.
So what can you do? What can we do? Because this isn't just on the doctors. We can be good stewards too. It starts with not pressuring your doctor for an antibiotic when you have a virus. If you are prescribed one, it's okay to ask, is this the most targeted drug for my infection? And maybe most importantly, if you're told to take a drug for 10 days, you finish the full course, even if you start feeling better on day 3. It's all about being an active, informed partner in our own healthcare.
Which really leaves us with this one final thought to chew on. Less than 100 years ago, getting a simple cut could lead to a bacterial infection that was basically a death sentence. Antibiotics changed everything about modern medicine. They are true miracle drugs. The question we have to ask ourselves now is, are we taking them for granted? Are we treating one of our most precious, life-saving resources as if we'll have an infinite supply? Thanks for joining me.